you find somebody who has the same hobbies as you. In your head, you're like, upgrade, look at me progressing in my personal life. But the answer to today's video question is recency bias. Bias is when you judge something incorrectly, and recency bias is judging something incorrectly due to recent events. It's talking about the tendency that people have to overemphasize or overvalue the importance of recent information against all the other information you already had. My last video that I'm going to link above seemed to be much more interesting to people, and I'm guessing it's the relationship component. So I'm going to try to link this to relationships, even though I really mean it in terms of progressing in life and being a better person. So here's an example of recency bias. Say you live in a city with a lot of snowfall, so the city has a protocol on how much snow equipment and road salt is needed in order to prepare for the winter. However, this year, the city has much less snowfall than expected, and you get through the winter with a huge excess of road salt that you have to either store or just get rid of. And the bias comes in here. You look at the salt taking up all that storage space and you think, wow, maybe we need to adjust the protocol. Like, we have probably been buying way too much salt to begin with, so you adjust the protocol to maybe 70% of what is standard, but then the next winter, there's the normally expected amount of snow as per historical figures, and then you're in trouble because you don't have enough salt for the roads because you overemphasized the significance of the less snowfall you had the winter prior. So, this recency bias, it also happens in personal growth. The things you learn most recently about yourself are more important, but we need to be careful not to overstate the importance in the big picture of progressing in life. So you're dating somebody, after you break up, in your road to healing yourself, you come up with some personal epiphanies, which honestly might be made up from your own brain as a coping mechanism. But for example, you're like, man, it sucks that he didn't go to the gym, since the gym is a big part of my life. For my next relationship, I need somebody who has the same hobbies as me, and then I'll truly be happy. And like, you find somebody who has the same hobbies as you. In your head, you're like, upgrade, look at me progressing in my personal life. But what people tend to forget is that you don't have a complete view of what you used to have versus what you have now. Because a lot of the learning and the factors that go into getting along in a relationship happens below the conscious level. We have been having relationships with people since we were born, but we weren't ever taught the components that make up a healthy relationship. So everything we know about relationships is self-taught, and the only factors that come into our conscious are the things that we've personally had problems with. So you have a problem, you recognize it, and then you solve it, and then this would be something that you can recognize in the future. However, this also implies that there are things that you're already doing right in your relationships that you would not be able to vocalize what these qualities even are because it's just so innate for you. So I'm saying that this new guy who has all your hobbies, he could have a very large personality flaw that you don't place enough emphasis on or readily recognize because it's something that you've never had to think about before in your relationship experiences. And you're also so busy thinking about how great it is to finally have someone who has your hobbies and understands you in the way that your last partner could not. Just remember, you might not necessarily be moving upward in your relationship progression towards a higher level, more mature relationship. You might be placing too much emphasis on your very recent personal epiphanies, which came out of heartache, so who knows how true they even are. So I made this chart that I showed on my IGTV, please follow, but I thought I'd show it here real quick. So this is a chart of self-improvement / progress over time. So on the left, we have the objective level of complexity / progress. And then here we have time from like now to the future. So this I took this from another illustration, but basically they say how people think progress looks. It's like a straight line from less, complex to like more complex. But in reality, or their reality, they say, you go up and down until you finally end up higher. But the thing is, while you're here, you can't really tell if you're, as a whole, getting better or not. But what I'm saying in this video, basically, is that you start here, and then you end up either here, or here, or here, or here, or even worse. You'll never really know if you're getting better or not as a whole, like a third-party observer kind of thing. Unless you're not yourself anymore, and you're literally someone else, or you're dead. So I'm calling this Schrodinger's possibility. So basically, you can never know if you're really in the whole scheme of life progressing or not progressing. You can never really know that like for sure unless you're not yourself, in which case you can't progress anymore. So actually, I made this up. So actually I can call it after me. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Please comment, subscribe, like, dislike. Let me know if you think I should try to relate everything to relationships, or like, does that really make it more interesting? How do you gauge the quality of your relationships? Is it not weird that no one teaches relationships in school? Because, well, I'll just answer that one. I think it's weird. They should really teach people something.